Ed here with the Digital Digest, and today I wanted to share a quick unboxing and first look at the DockCase Explorer Edition M.2 NVMe SSD enclosure. Now, this specifically supports 2230, 2242, 2260, and 2280 size drives. I will be using 2280 drives in it, really testing the capacity threshold because I believe it's supposed to top out at 4 terabytes. I will be trying 8 terabytes just to see if it works. But what's cool about this enclosure, and the reason I actually purchased it, because this was not sent to me by DockCase, for those of you that are wondering, and I'll include a link in the description. I purchased this through Amazon, pretty much the only place that I could get it quickly, safely, you know the drill. Is that it has very cool design, but it's also smart. And you'll see how as I open this up right now. I've got my A1 here because it's a perfect example of why I need devices like this. And as I just cut the tab right there, I'll just go over what it says on the packaging at least, which, as you can see, USB 3.2 Gen 2. So we're getting nearly a gig a second transfer speeds from this. What I've liked to have seen, true Thunderbolt at 90 US dollars, just about 90 bucks, of course. And then 5 to 10 seconds of power loss protection. That's a big reason to have an interest in this. If you want to make sure your data is safe in the event of an outage, let's say your laptop or desktop loses power while it's connected, you will at least have a little bit of protection, which is good. And then you have an intelligent display. So let's get this out of the box. The display and the design, I feel like, are the big draw. I think the power protection is pretty important. You're not going to see a lot of other enclosures that do that for you. So just nice to see something different. Granted, it would have been better if DockCase sent it over for review, but as many of you know that follow the channel, when I see something cool, I don't wait for manufacturers. I get what I want, so to speak. So there is your Type-C cable with a Type-A adapter, and we've got a little screwdriver rather, along with some screws to actually, I'm assuming, install, or actually it's to open the enclosure. It does so. One thing about this enclosure that I read in advance is that it's not seamless. It's not an easy or a tool-free experience. So you're going to want to put, whatever drive you plan on using in here, and you're going to want to keep that in there, pretty much permanently. So really nice drive. I mean, this is part of the reason you're going to buy it, is just that aesthetic. It looks great. Again, I've always been a fan of the clear, translucent, design, and I think this is a trend we're seeing more and more of, and it's a good thing because it's really nice and it moves away from the mundane or more boring design that we often get in a category like this, which is understandable. After all, it's just an NVMe enclosure, right? Well, it doesn't have to be just an NVMe enclosure, and hopefully this is the beginning of that changing. So some text here on the side, which is, I think, going to be hard for the camera to pull into focus there. Just because of the contrast, but I'm trying to read it. It says SSD enclosure. It has the model number and equipped with hardware level PLP made in China. We've got a Type-C port there, another Type-C port there, power button, I'm assuming that is right there. And there is that little battery for the 5 to 10 second power backup. And that's pretty much it. So yes, the included screwdriver is for this right here. I'm going to go ahead and actually open it up, but I do like this a lot already. I think it's really nice. So let's go ahead and pull that out, and let's open it up. Nothing else in this box to show you. Of course, the instructions I could show you, but not really a big reason to do that. So let's go ahead and open this up, which, by the way, is not going to be difficult, but I've covered a lot of enclosures in my day, and tool-free are always my favorite, but give me a reason, to be interested in something else, and I'll be interested. So let's see if the 8 terabyte can fit. I mean, that's one of the big questions. I mean, I always run into that. Of course, if I go with Sabrent-based enclosures, I'm usually good. This is a little bit different, of course, because it isn't Sabrent. And generally, I try to put these into Thunderbolt-rated enclosures. Now, the sizing pin right there also has to be unscrewed, it seems. So that's an interesting, unless I'm missing something, it looks like it does. I'm just going to pop that back in there again to make sure I'm not losing it. And yes, it does need to be screwed in. So we're going to have to remove that screw. So let me go ahead and remove that. But again, you will be hard pressed to find anything quite like this, which is why I'm covering it here on the channel. And you know, a lot of other YouTubers got this for review for free, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think that, you know, products like this deserve a little bit more attention. I always find it odd when companies like this, well, it's not odd, send products like this to reviewers that really don't know. They don't have a lot of input on enclosures. Let me put it that way. They don't deal with a lot of PC hardware. But look, you know, they're trying to get exposure, and you know, I respect you know, all of the guys that I'm mentioning. You know, they're not all guys, by the way, of course. But trying to do this blind, which is not easy, I will add. But you know, the beauty again of an enclosure like this is that the manufacturer knows this is going to appeal to everyone. This is not something just for the hardware junkies. This is pretty much for anyone who has an NVMe and wants something that's really cool to take with them on the road. I mean, after all, this is going to be your one drive to rule them all. And right now, my one drive that does that is an 8 terabyte Sabrent, the Extreme Q, the Rocky Q. That really is unrivaled in the industry, and you know, I would not select an enclosure like this over that any day because it's Thunderbolt and backwards compatible. But in the absence of that drive, after all, that can't be opened. It's an external NVMe drive. You cannot actually open that without damaging it, to my knowledge. We're now in business with this guy right here. So let's go ahead and do the peel reveal. Oh, so satisfying. Or not at all, depending on who you are. And yeah, it's just really cool. I'm going to, let's just connect it to something and make sure it actually works. So now let's try connecting this to my Z Fold. So I'm just going to go ahead and plug it into the Fold. And you can see it lit up almost instantly. And it appears that it is not recognizing the 8 terabyte Sabrent, which I'm not shocked about, because after all, it's one of those things where I didn't necessarily expect it to be able to handle the 8 terabytes. So I'll test it out with some other drives, see what it's able to read, but very cool. Now you have an example of that display, and just I'll get into in my next video how dynamic the information is that the DockCase actually provides about your NVMe storage, beyond just identifying the drive type, manufacturer, all of that good stuff. But still really cool. You can see it's actually charging up its little PLP battery. So it's just a smart NVMe enclosure. I wish it was Thunderbolt, but this is a good step in the right direction. So kudos to DockCase for making this. And hopefully Sabrent gives it the one up soon, because those of you that follow the channel know that I love Sabrent's products. So it'd be nice to see something even nicer and actually more competent, which I know Sabrent can do it if they want to. I mean, they lead the industry in more ways than one. But that pretty much rounds things out. Again, that is the DockCase Explorer Edition, Smart NVMe Enclosure. Any questions or comments, please feel free to post them. Hit that like button. And as usual, please feel free to subscribe, and please stay safe. Later.